Yo, 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 what is up, you guys? It's your boy, Chris Markland, but they call me Superfly.
And I'm Jaden Jones.
And this is the third episode of the Secret Crisis Podcast, the latest nerdy podcast to cruise through the multiverse and right onto your listening device. So today is a very special episode because it's our third episode. Not exactly sure why that makes it special, but every episode of the Secret Crisis Podcast is special to me and is special to us. So, yeah.
Yes, it's also special. We are recording and going to be releasing on Reformation Day. This is also known as Halloween, and so it's
The lesser holiday, of course. Yeah, you might have heard of Halloween, I'm sure. Very niche.
yes. For people that don't know, Reformation Day is the day commemorating the Protestant Reformation and the decisive schism within the Christian Church. The break from the Christian Church to what we would now know as Protestantism. Before that time, it was only known as the Catholic Church, but that is not always the case. That's not the case anymore. So, yeah, so that's the reason. But today is Reformation Day. So I don't celebrate Halloween. I'm not that person. My family's not really been that. So but I will be celebrating Reformation Day.
Well, I've been celebrating Halloween since I was a little kid, but this year is looking a little different because of the you know what virus. So, not really much to do around here.
True.
But either way, happy Halloween and happy Reformation Day to those of you who celebrate it.
Yes, in light of this day, we wanted to talk about a certain theme, a certain topic around the recently. It was how has been like about 2 weeks since it happened, Christian, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's been a week since I've heard about it. Like I didn't even realize what was going on until like one of my friends legit told me about it. And I was like, wait, what? What? Like
yes. We will be talking about the Chris Pratt controversy that happened
quote unquote
recently.
controversy. I don't know if this really qualifies as a controversy so much as a thing that's happening.
yeah, something that to some people it was controversial. But yes, the situation that happened recently and how it kind of it's right in the middle. It's the superhero, you could say, MCU type of world, while also talking about the Christian aspect of it. So that is what we're going to be centering on this episode.
Yeah, so if you don't know, Chris Pratt is the gentleman who plays Star-Lord in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I've always personally really liked him as an actor. I always thought like he was a very charismatic person who brought like very expertly brought like charisma to a very obscure character. Like personally, even as like a long-standing comic book fan, when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, I had no idea who Star-Lord was. Like I had a vague idea. I'd maybe seen him in like maybe a cartoon or two for an episode, but like I never had like a deep understanding of who Star-Lord is. But like the way Chris Pratt portrayed him, like he really made me care about the character and clearly made a lot of other people care about the character, considering that all the movies that he's been in the MCU have made
boatloads.
I don't think he's been in an MCU movie that's made less than $1 billion, has he?
I don't think so.
I forget what exactly the box office is for like the Guardians movies, but it's up there.
I know they're good. All the Guardians movies have been made boatloads of money.
For me, Guardians 2 is one of my favorite MCU films, like in general. Like I just thought the way that like they tackled the whole Star-Lord meet the parents thing with like him like finding out like who his father is and like the whole plot with Gamora and her sister and like Rocket learning to be part of the group, and like, I
Mhm.
really enjoyed that movie. One of the MCU movies that really like touched me
Mhm.
personally more than like
Mhm.
others have, in a weird,
Yeah.
which I definitely was not expecting. Like I was not expecting to like shed tears over Yandu,
Yeah. Yes.
a character who maybe like 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you. Actually, that's not entirely true. I knew who Yondu was from this old Marvel encyclopedia I used to carry around. I used to have and like read a lot. But like Yondu was always, since it was like in alphabetical order, Yondu was always at the end. So like
Yeah, yeah,
that's how
yeah.
you knew I was like chilling somewhere for a really long time. When I get to the Yondu page, it's like, okay, now it's time to leave.
Yeah, definitely no stranger to those encyclopedias. I have that one as well. I think actually no, I do have the DC one. I have the DC encyclopedia, which is that one was thick, a thick black one, and I do have a Marvel one, but it's a lot smaller, like a lot more skinnier, and not remotely, a lot more mobile. The DC one is thick, and Odie's like you can hit a person over the head with it and probably knock him out. Like well, with that, that's how like big this thing is. But those, yeah, they're very a lot of material in those indeed. You can spend hours, go down the rabbit hole with those.
Yeah, but I'd say Chris Pratt is a very interesting Hollywood has a very interesting Hollywood career, in
Hmm.
that like his start, at least in like more of like the public sphere, was on the show called Parks and Rec, which
Hmm.
I've seen a couple of episodes of, and his character is pretty hilarious. Like I can't even lie, like he's like a total lovable buffoon who was like, well, like his thing, like he was fat, like he was chubby back then, and like that was a big thing back in like 2014 when Chris Pratt trimmed the hell down. Like he hit those weights hard and like
Mm.
came out the other end like totally jacked. It's like he looked like a totally different person. It's like friggin' what's his name? That Indian actor who's gonna be in Eternals a couple weeks from now. Ninjal. I'll have to search up his name so I don't mispronounce it and sound offensive. But like, yeah, the actor I think who's playing either Ajak or like Makari or something. Let me just search it up right now. Eternals cast.
I do not know any of those. For the Eternals, they're very
Kumail Nanjiani. Kumail
Camille and
Nanjiani.
John.
Like, it was the same thing with him. Dude hit the weights hard. I don't know what his workout regimen is, but all I know is I need to know his secret. Like, whether I don't know if he's like drinking like 50 protein shakes a day, if he's like if he's like eating a diet of like 1,000 calories per day, or like taking
Mhm,
steroids or what. Like I
mhm.
have no idea, but like that dude got so fit that like literally Pornhub approached him. You didn't hear about that? You didn't hear about that?
Oh, what? Oh, really? I thought you were joking.
I am not joking in the slightest.
Oh,
Pornhub literally approached him about, because like he was originally a comedic actor. Like he was originally like
oh,
known for
okay.
like, raunchy comedies and whatnot. And like once
Yeah.
he got fit, Pornhub was like, "Oh, we could use you now."
Okay.
And he was like, "Yeah, nah, sorry."
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
And
intriguing.
King Kingo or Kinjo is the character that he's playing, which I'm not gonna lie, Eternals is probably the one superhero property in Marvel next to Guardians of the Galaxy that I know next to nothing about.
Me either. Nope, I do not know anything about them either.
I have no idea what to expect from that movie, but hey, if they can make Guardians of the Galaxy work,
Mm.
Marvel could pretty much write their own ticket at this point. So yeah,
Yep.
anyway, Jaden, why don't you give us your take on the whole, like, tell us the origin of this whole, like, where this Chris Pratt situation started, and like give us some context for it.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. So where this all started was when a blue check mark on in Twitter, this is on Twitter, Obviously, it was all controversy
Of
stemming
course
to
it's
there.
Twitter.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but like, of course it's Twitter. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Never. I don't even have a
Yes.
Twitter account, and Twitter exhausts me.
Yes. So where this all started was when a blue check mark by the name of Amber Berg. I don't know if you know who that is. I don't know who that is, to be
Nope,
honest. I don't really care, to
never
be
heard of her.
honest. Yeah. Posted photos of a four photos with Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt, Chris Evans. You know what? I don't even know this.
All the basically the
Big
what I like to call
Chris's.
the Hollywood Council of Chris's.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I forget. I don't even know who
I think Chris
the last
Pine
one.
was the fourth one.
Maybe you're probably right.
The guy who
Yeah.
played Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman.
Yes, exactly. Chris Pine. Yes, you're right. That's him. Yeah. And so she said one has to go out of the four for the Chris's. And so what proceeded to happen, as everyone knows, this went viral, and multiple blue check marks, not just trolls and people, because you always find people, crazy people that are doing that in the Twitter cesspool, but these are blue check marks that proceeded uh, to attack Chris. It's definitely Chris Pratt has to go, and the Chris Pratt has to go, and the reason for that was because it was a Christian. He's a Christian. Chris Pratt, for anyone that don't know, Chris Pratt, actually is one of the most outspoken, comfortably outspoken Christians in Hollywood today, right now.
Yeah,
They're
I keep forgetting about that.
yeah. It's very weird actually when I found that out. Where like I think it was the VMA. Was it the VMAs? That he spoke, or was it some? It was one really big award show, and he did it several times. But what I found it out was he did it at an award show, and he talked about the whole gospel, and like
Really?
it was. I was like, whoa, like that was shocking. The dude, do you know where you are? Like you're talking on a stage, right?
Mm.
Like the pretty amazing stuff. But yeah, it's one of the most outspoken Christians in Hollywood right now. That in that's just even that mainstream Hollywood. And people were attacking him because calling him, oh, the uh, typical the typical pejoratives that Christians on a daily basis are thrown at. He's called a racist, he's called a homophobe, he's called a sexist, and they just an intolerant person, and all the pejoratives in the book,
Mm.
because of his Christianity,
Mm.
that he's a Christian. So
Mm.
that was one of that was where that train of, because the threads was going off of, and so many people are going off of that, and
Mm.
so I'll follow up with this. What proceeded to happen, and there's a second aspect to this. It's not just the only reason, but I'll follow up with this. So, in response to this, which I have to preface was really beautiful to see. I did not expect this to actually see, was his co-host, no, not co-host,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
his colleagues from Avengers, like Robert, many of them actually did come out and support him. But Robert Downey Jr. Posted on his Instagram, that which was, it was such beautiful actually.
Yeah,
This
very touching.
in defense of him, and this is I quote: "What a world! The sinless, this is quote unquote, the sinless are casting stones at my brother Chris Pratt, a real hashtag Christian who lives by hashtag principle, has never demonstrated anything but positivity and gratitude, dot dot dot, and he just married into a family that makes space for civil discourse and just plain fact, insists on service as the highest value." if you take issue with Chris, I've got a novel. I got a novel idea. Delete your social media accounts. Sit with your own defects of character, hashtag character, and work on them, and then celebrate your humanness. At Pratt Pratt Pratt. I got your backpack.
What a legend.
Yeah, it was very, very beautiful to see. I was not expecting that to see it, but I was glad to. It was very touching to see. I know there was a couple other of his colleagues.
Yeah, I think
From
Mark Ruffalo hit him with gave a post. There are a couple of others, but I can't like find the names right now.
yeah, the most popular that I was Robert Downey Jr. and so like that was the one
Yeah.
that was I know for sure, and so that was really touching to see that. So I had to preface that. One of the points and what I want to center, and this is the kind of the second aspects to some of the hate that was coming to Chris Pratt, because it wasn't that he was he's just a Christian, but it's also another aspect that the people were attacking was the suspicion. This is just suspicion. This isn't actually just even confirmed. Chris Pratt has actually said
Yeah.
anything. Is
Never.
anything? But it's also the suspicion that he's also a conservative, or he's even the because of the people that he follows. So, Chris Pratt on Twitter follows the following individuals: Ben Shapiro, Nikki Haley, the and Representative Dan Crenshaw, and so he.
Is Ben Shapiro even conservative?
Yeah, he is very, very
Oh,
conservative. Yes, he's yes, very conservative. Uh, yes, and so because of those, because of the people that he follow, people assume that he is a conservative. Now, it could no.
wow, it's a good thing we're recording this episode on Halloween because people are accusing him of being a conservative.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, yes, exactly. And so this is what people are attacking. This was the other aspect on the political side, and I will make a broader point later, but so a lot of people are actually also pointed this out. Who a guy from by Furious Car Turtle pointed out that Chris Pratt has made a lot of donations to, well, actually, but one, Barack Obama multiple times. Barack Obama multiple times, and also Tulsi Gabbard. Like, and it's it could see the most probably plausible situation here isn't that probably Chris Pratt's a conservative. It could just be that he's just a Democrat who is very comfortable or open to just differing beliefs. So
Discourse.
conservative, yeah, exactly, conservative beliefs. It could just be the case that's not that he's not in it's just interesting. He's not
It's
a
like if you ask me, every single like person with the freedom to vote should be like whether you're a
mhm,
conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, whatever. Like
yeah, mhm, yeah, mhm, yes,
we're in
exactly.
this day and age, it's literally impossible to subscribe to one.
Hmm. Yeah, like it's just really interesting because what Chris Pratt may most likely be doing is something that, like you said, to anybody, people are doing. Many of his fellow blue check marks, the ones who are actually attacking him, don't do that. Stay in their little echo chambers. Always listen to the people that they always agree with. Never actually hear the opposite side. It's very so. This is where I'll attack on the broader point. The people that are attacking Christian for Chris Pratt for his Christianity and his this just even the suspicion of being it's not never confirmed. He's never actually said anything.
Never,
For
never once,
never,
never
never
once.
never once. It's just the suspicion. This is the suspicion that he's a conservative. That they attack him, call him all types of names on the pejoratives, every pejorative in the book, every pejorative, and most Christians, if they know this, and are completely familiar with these pejoratives that as I listed before,
It's
it's no
nothing new.
stranger to them. Yeah, nothing new. And so, just these are the same people that preach tolerance, inclusivity, and just diversity of all. These are the people, the champions of said of tolerance, are some of the most intolerant people. That it's, oh no, if you disagree with me, the second you disagree with me, oh, I'm tolerant. I tolerate you. I tolerate you if you disagree with me, and ideologically, I'm on in religiously. But the second you disagree with me, then you're the worst thing in the world. You're a Nazi. You're an you're a racist. You're everything worse. They cannot help to demonize people based on your opinions and your beliefs. They cannot. These are the same types of people. That is the height of hypocrisy that I have seen from said people, the same types of you could say the elites of Hollywood. Because again, this isn't just trolls I'm talking about, or the people I'm talking about. They're not just trolls. These are actual verified blue check marks, social media influencers, like celebrities with a
Well, then again,
massive
just
following.
because someone is a social media influencer, that doesn't exactly hold a lot of weight, at least in terms of me, or at least in terms of like Hollywood in general. Like you get
No,
anyone
I
to
mean,
be
like, I
an
mean,
Instagram influencer.
no,
Like it
I
doesn't
mean,
take
like,
a lot.
I mean, like, they're not just any Smo Joe off the street. Like, these are people like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like, not just anybody off the street. And you're right, obviously, but like not just anybody off the street. These are people with a huge amounts of followings, enough to be verified, is what I mean, on
Yeah.
Twitter. Yeah,
Able to
so.
spread their misinformation like the plague.
Mhm. Yes, and so yeah, that was the it's just so interesting, and um just on a I wanted I don't know if it actually, what are your thoughts on that for Christian before?
Well, first of all, I am just like incredibly baffled by this entire situation, just because
Mhm.
like it seemingly came out of nowhere. Like came out of
Mhm.
like I'm
Mhm.
so confused as to why, if people had this problem with Chris Pratt, why they waited until like someone, why it took someone posting like something being like one Chris gotta go for like people, all the floodgates to suddenly open. It's like what? Like if people were like looking this far into like Chris Pratt's life, when like they're looking into the people that he follows, which like at that point I'm like, yo, get a life, fam. Like
Mhm.
people are
Yeah.
like legit eyeing Chris Pratt like he's like their ex boyfriend or something. Like, bro, why are you like why are you watching this man so closely? But like, yeah, even that, it's like, bro, like
Mhm.
if you went through all that trouble to like play detective and like look through like all of Chris Pratt's social media, do your research on like people that he's like donating money to, it's like, why were you sitting on this information at all? Why are you waiting until now? Like, were you just waiting for any excuse to pull this out?
Mhm.
And like, even deeper than that, it's just like, really, really, this is definitely like the the dark aspect, the darker aspect of Twitter, like the more like, and the darker aspect of like free speech in general. Like, not saying that free speech is a bad thing, because it 100% is not, but like
Mhm.
just the fact that like people are willing to like take other people's beliefs that much to heart, like to the point where like, even like you said, even like the suspicion that he like holds some sort of like conservative values, or that at least that he's at least open to hearing both sides of certain issues, like
Mhm.
immediately people are willing to like get all up in arms. It's like, bro, there are real problems out there, like, and again, like these are the same, like there are real problems out there that like need to be addressed. Like people are like dealing with like police brutality and like systemic racism. It's like, bro, you're worried about a Hollywood actor who, a good, I'd say 99.999% of people complaining on Twitter don't even personally know. Like, it's one thing if you have a discourse with someone who's like in your class, or like who you work with, or who like is a personal friend, or like who is like a family member, who like maybe says an insensitive thing every once in a while, or like maybe like subscribes to people who like you don't think they should be listening to, or like maybe like holds certain beliefs that you feel aren't forward thinking enough for your general spirit. That's one thing. But like,
but they don't even know
to
him.
attack someone that you don't even know, it's like, what's the point? Like, what? I don't understand what people. First of all, what people are trying to accomplish with this, what they think is going to happen. Like, because it's not like Marvel is going to read all these tweets and be like, sorry, Chris Pratt, we're going to have to let you go. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Mind you, like, cancel culture is a thing right now. But people can be cultured for like tweets that they made like several years ago. They can be canceled for things that they said on screen, but not for like people that they donate to, not for people that they follow on Twitter, not for that. It's just like,
well, you've had that. There has been instances about, but you have a good point. You
like who?
Yeah. Who was it that I'd have to go through the list. I don't think there's so many people at this point. But I bet I could find somebody for that by means of even liking a certain post. Liking post.
Then again, it kind of depends on the post. So maybe I shouldn't necessarily say that. But like, even still, like, mind you, in terms of this whole like Chris Pratt controversy, how it started, I kind of get it. Like, I kind of understand. Let me make myself clear. I'm talking in regards to the original post. Like, one of these Chris's has got to go, because I'm gonna be real. As much as I like Chris Pratt, if I had to choose between Pratt, Hemsworth, Evans, and Pine, sorry, Pratt, you're kind of on the low end of the totem pole with that one. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's either you or Chris Pine is on the chopping block, but like, I don't know, man. Like, you ain't no Hemsworth, you ain't no Evans. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that is fair. Fair to say. Yes, indeed. Yeah,
But like, the other thing that, like, you know, like, I had like a long conversation with a very close friend of mine about this, who like actually was the one who brought this to my attention. And like, at first I was very confused as to why this was an issue at all, but like, she really said something that like really made me look at the situation not necessarily differently, but from a different vantage point. Because the problem that she had wasn't necessarily with Chris Pratt. It was with the fact that like all of his co-stars, like the Robert Downey Jr.'s and the Mark Ruffalo's, and like, I don't remember if Jeremy Renner said something, or like all the other actors that are like all of a sudden now coming to Chris Pratt's defense, that were apparently, mind you, I don't know if this is true or not, because I don't really pay attention to like actors' Twitters. I don't have Twitter. I don't pay attention to like the things that they say on that like platform. But like, apparently all of the people that came to Chris Pratt's defense were silent when people like I think Zendaya, when she was getting like racist comments and like death threats over like being cast as MJ, when Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, when she went through the same thing. So from that, I'm kind of like, well, I kinda get what you're saying with that, but even still, I'm like, they probably just know Chris Pratt better.
Yeah, exactly.
They probably just know the guy better,
because that's what he that's what. See, I get what we were saying, but I don't think it's valid, because the reason why Robert Downey Jr., if you go where you look what he was saying, he was talking about he knows Chris Pratt.
Yeah, like, I don't think he knows the other people very well. But like, then she said that like, well, like Don Cheadle and Chadwick Boseman came to their defense, and they didn't really know those actresses either. So I'm like, I mean, like, you're not wrong with that. Like, I don't really, like, I see both sides of that, to be honest with you. Like, I see both sides of that.
Again, like Robert was going from what he knows about Chris Pratt. He's not in that sense. I don't think it's fair
like, I'm not gonna like use that to like cast aspersions on like any of the actors who came to like Chris Pratt's defense, because for all I know, they weren't even aware that those like death threats and stuff were happening to those other actors. For all I know, they didn't even know. So like, I am choosing to give people the benefit of the doubt. So
no, and
it's just all around a really, really unfortunate situation that
Mhm.
I guarantee you is gonna blow over. Like it's gonna blow over very, very soon. Like I have no doubt.
I I doubt it, to be honest. I'll say my reason for that. I mean, it's not the first time ever. Last time when, or at least from what I remember, when Chris Pratt had um in any sense in a public sphere had voiced his uh his faith. Again, the same type of vitriol came out. This again, actually from again the same types of people. Um, and he one of the other things that people were attacking, another thing that he was affiliated, because Chris Pratt goes to a Hillsong church, and Hillsong
Oh
is
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Weren't they trying to like use that to say like, oh, he's anti-LGBT or something?
yeah, that is their claim, always, because Hillsong believes in biblical marriage. That's what
Yeah.
and so they attack
Even though like
that.
Hillsong has never like outwardly come out with any necessarily anti-LGBT rhetoric or like anything.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
just what the
see, but
Bible
that's the
says.
yeah, exactly. But see, that's the thing is, Christian. The funny thing is that even though they've never done that, in these people's minds, saying that you are for biblical
You're
marriage
either with me
or
or against me.
exactly, there's no in
Ironically.
between with these people. It's funny how we talk about polarizing individuals, but these are the same types of people that only view it's either or, and there's no middle, and there's like when the truth is normally in the middle. That yeah, it's like they believe in a marriage between one man and one woman, and it's really that simple. I mean, you can disagree, but they because of that, they see that they process that in their mind as being homophobic, as being
Yeah.
that you hate a certain groups of people rather just being pro something, and that you're pro biblical marriage as
Yeah.
instead of being anti something. It's just it's wrong mindset and just so not true.
It's just like
To
that kind of
yeah.
like people with that kind of mindset, like it really makes me sad. Not necessarily because people who are like misinformed on like what Christianity is are like willing to go that far to condemn it, which like I'm not gonna lie, like that kind of bothers me as well. But just the fact
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like all these people apparently have had such negative experiences with like church and with like Christianity in general to the
Yeah.
point where like anybody who even like anybody who even like mentions anything regarding like faith or regarding like religion or regarding like Jesus or anything
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is immediately like demonized.
Condemned.
It's
Yes,
just really
condemned. Yes.
it really speaks to the sort of corruption that takes place within some sects of Christian or like false Christians who
Yeah,
like
yeah. Mhm.
say that they are but like really like don't practice what the Bible actually preaches.
Yeah,
It's really disheartening to see that like
yeah.
people that like just by mentioning like, hey, I'm a Christian, hey, this is what I believe, hey, da 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 da, that people are take that as, oh, you're religiously persecuting me. Oh, you're saying that I go to
Mhm.
hell if I don't do every single thing you say. It's like, well,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
no.
Oh,
Like who told
never
you
said
that?
that. Exactly that. Yeah, exactly. They come with all
Like
these
you'd be surprised who
preconceived
tells them
notions.
that.
Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting. Actually, it's quite again many of these uh you could say yeah, many of these celebrities very often it's very common in today's especially in Hollywood to create uh caricatures of Christianity that is very false and not accurate, not remotely biblically accurate, but will so that they can attack. It's kind of like a yeah, just create an image that is not accurate, but it's labeled as something so that you can attack accurate, you can attack it successfully, and that's what these types of individuals always love to do. And it's just really interesting. And okay, I have to also say, in no way am I saying that there are people have had that are negative experiences with church. There are many Christians, Christians that have been bad Christians, people that are bad Christians, and sadly we are sadly we have had to. There are those people that are not have been living up to the standard at which Christ um, um, we're called to be to live by. Christians are imperfect people. We're imperfect people. We're not perfect, and if we were perfect, we wouldn't need Christ. We don't need Christ in our life, but that does not mean that we're still not called to be a higher standard, to live a higher standard. It's the problem with hypocrisy to the highest degree. We all have our sins that we struggle with, but when those that um, do live are living a lifestyle. So it's one thing to have make mistakes, but to live a lifestyle that is contrary to a, um, a, a biblical lifestyle, a Christ-centered lifestyle. That's when we have a problem. And you can go and do all types of things. You can consume all types of substances, do things with all types of people, but you can. Oh yeah, but you can do you. It's one thing you can go party on Saturday and then go to church on Sunday, and then it's like, oh, and then, I'm just I'm still Christian though. I'm still Christian though, but yet you're living a lifestyle very contrary to what Christians are called to live by.
Wait, so you're saying that people who party can't be Christians?
No, oh no. I'm not saying that they can't be Christians. I'm saying that what people do at parties often. It's one thing they go to party and just like parties. That's one thing. But it's another thing to go to parties, go drink and go make out to people and indulge in sexual acts and do all the types of stuff there. It doesn't mean that you may just go there just because you like music and like dancing. Okay, fine, that's one thing. There are people that like doing that. I know that. But that doesn't mean that you go there to indulge in all the things that people do at parties. That is what I mean. Like people, what I meant is in being that people. I know that some of them I'm very close with, and they they will go party on Saturday, Friday night, Saturday, all weekend. No, except for Sunday. And then they go Sunday, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm still Christian, and I'm like just as if they're expunged of their sins, and that doesn't mean. But then they go back into the week and do the exact same thing.
I mean, like that wasn't exactly the fake Christianity that I was talking about, but okay. But like, I feel like I'm gonna have to agree to disagree on that, because like I believe that like we as Christians are like saved by grace, and that like though we strive for purity and though we like strive to be like to be more like Christ, I do believe that like people make mistakes. Some people make
that's
mistakes.
What I said. Mistakes, don't they?
Some people make mistakes like regularly, but like God doesn't love us because we follow every single rule in the Bible like to a T. God doesn't love us because we never fall short within His eyes. He loves us just because He loves us.
Yeah, I know. That's not what I was saying, man. I was saying that making a mistake is not something as in terms of living a lifestyle. Lifestyles are different than just mistakes. A lifestyle is not only is repeated. I'm again. It's one thing to say that you have sins that you struggle with. It's not something that's not what I'm talking about. Because
okay, let's get back to the matter at hand. Let's save this for our companion podcast, the Secret Christ podcast. So yeah. Anyway, back to the whole like Chris Pratt thing. I mentioned earlier that I think that this whole thing is going to like blow over in a matter of like maybe a month or so, and I feel like you disagree. Why is that?
Yeah, the reason why I disagree is because the Twitter mob, the elites have never actually let up on these type of things. It doesn't as long as Chris Pratt is a Christian, as long as somebody in the public sphere is as a Christian, there will come another time when I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
That's the way it is for like a variety of actors with a variety of reasons for being canceled. I'm like not saying that Chris Pratt is being canceled, but like same with Amber Heard, who like though her cancellation I would say is 100% justified. Like I personally would not hire her. I would not want to see her like in a film again.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Mm-hmm.
but like every single post that she makes on Twitter, I'm sure that like there are like I'm sure that there are plenty of people who are like commenting on everything. Yo, how could you do Johnny Depp like that? You're a terrible person. You're trash. We're like, again, not saying she doesn't deserve some of it, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't argue that like that's probably the case. And it's the same with James Gunn, who was recently
Yeah.
I think maybe like two years ago now, like there was that whole controversy where Disney
Yeah.
fired him for like his old tweets and like rehired him a
Mm.
couple months later, which I still 100% maintain that entire thing was a marketing stunt, but like that's a whole other. We'll have to do a separate episode of my Disney conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
yeah, the same thing with him. Like his tweets came out, and that was a big thing for like 5 minutes, and then he got rehired again. He and Disney kissed and made up, and he even got a new DC movie out of it. So it's like that whole thing. It's not necessarily that. Maybe it's wrong to say that this Chris Pratt thing is going to blow over, quote unquote.
No,
But I do
I
feel
think they'll
like in
find
terms of
something
like
new.
public sphere, people are just gonna stop caring. Like I've already, to be honest, stopped caring about it.
Yeah, but
And like there are always
you're
gonna be
not
people
them.
who are still like dredging up that hill. But then again, there are people.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's plenty of people who are like constantly trolling Robert Downey Jr., being like, "Oh, you were a cokehead back in the day. Like I remember you back when you were arrested for selling drugs or whatever. It's like you didn't deserve to be Iron Man. It should have been Tom Cruise or something nonsense." It's like to me, this is like something that like all actors have to deal with in terms of like personal beliefs. I'm sure that like there are multiple other like I'm sure that there are multiple other people who are like religiously persecuted. I know that there are multiple other black actors who are like persecuted on account of like the roles that they get cast in and like their race. So it's like you're always going to have people. You're always going to have like trolls on Twitter, like people on Twitter
Well,
who are
not
like attacking
this isn't just
people
a
just
trolls
because
though.
of
See,
who they are.
that's not just trolls though. Again, like these are verified individuals. These are like actual like people in Hollywood. There's again, you can
Name
always find a
one.
troll. You can always find Amber. This is Amy Burke. These are verified individual.
But
And
who
again,
is that though? Like
I don't know. I don't know who she
who is
is.
that
Like
though?
I can bet if I go down the rabbit hole, I bet I can find many other verified. We can I'll go and I'll find that for you later. But I can find many of those that we probably would know at or in some capacity, but it really wouldn't matter as long as they're verified. They're not. The point in being is that you can always find trolls. You can always find trolls on either side. But not everyone is. It doesn't necessarily mean that every single one of everyone that agrees with that per se, like that. Like it's like yeah, exactly. Like you can find trolls on any side, um, on any side of any issue, right? But it's not necessarily. It's at least what
But
I'm
this is the
saying.
same thing though. Not everybody agrees with that. It's just only a select few. Like it's only
It's
a
not.
even for the verified people, like assuming they're gonna keep this up for that long, which like the
Well,
verified
they
people
have.
I
Like
don't know these
this
people.
is for years. It's been
I don't know
for
what
years.
Twitter is like, but I to be honest, I can't see this going on in the public sphere for very much longer. Just
Well,
because like
Christian is it has been going on for a long time. The intolerance to Christian beliefs has been going on for well, you could say for actually for centuries actually, but in one not only Hollywood but in the public sphere, this is a common thing. Yeah, you may not be on Twitter, but if you've been paying attention, anyone that knows they've been paying attention, Christian beliefs and just Christianity in general is one of the only religion that is not seen quite well, not only in Hollywood but in just in the public sphere altogether. It's the one thing. It's the one religion that people love to pick on, that people love to tear apart. You can always jab. You know, sure, are there people that critique the other religions? Yeah, sure, there are, but not on the mass. You do not see the same type of criticism and vitriol to Islam. You don't see the same type of critique of the other the other world religions who
Well, I mean, I
have.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be willing to go that far. I think that like Islamophobia, like as far as like a 9/11 went, especially around that era, that's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm,
Pretty bad.
mm-hmm.
But like I agree with you to a point. Like I agree that it's a problem. It's a problem in Hollywood that like needs to be addressed and that like needs to be called out. But like I don't know if I do agree that like Christianity does like go from like has been going through like forms of scrutiny since like to be honest Bible times really like but like
Mm-hmm.
it's always been more of the less the unpopular belief to have but like
Well, even when it was even when the normal you could say the majority of the population was all held some sense of Christian belief, or Christianity was a lot more. It was okay if you were a Christian, it was like oh whatever. But now today, in just today's society, that's not always the case. Like that's always the case. There are in the again the popular in mainstream culture. If you when you are a Christian, like we talked about before, there was already these preconceived notions about what you believe about certain types of people, certain acts, about all types of the multiple things. That wasn't always the case. That wasn't always the case. And not now again. I'm talking about the change in the the mainstream perspective that
well, like
um.
if we're talking about like mainstream public perceptions or like stereotypes, that again, that goes for pretty much like any that goes not only any religion, but like any like race, any like any like person who like lives in a particular place. Like there are stereotypes about Canada, about
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
America, about
Hmm.
different states in America, about like
Yes.
different races, about black people, Asian people, white people. Like
Hmm.
there are like preconceived notions all around. So like if that's like the if that's like the I don't think that Christianity is special in that way. Like I do think that like it go from does often come under like a great deal of scrutiny. But like if we're talking about like preconceived notions of that like are just like unfounded and untrue that are only based on like a small number of people. Like to me, that's like the same thing. That's like the same thing that like people used to do about like black people who lived in a certain neighborhood. Like, don't hang out with them. Like he doesn't like like we don't roll with their kind or like they're like they'll like just cause trouble or something. Like or like like Asian people when like you see like an Asian person in like math class, mind you, these are all stereotypes that I in no way believe. So
Hmm.
not that I can be canceled because I don't have a career to begin with, but
Yeah. No.
I really don't care. But
Yeah. No. I'm
if
not.
you
I'm
see an
not. I
Asian person
wasn't.
in math class, it's like, oh, he's gonna be good at math, like, oh, he's gonna like ace every test. When like it's not necessarily the case. You can't just assume that based on race. But like,
Hmm. Yeah. No. I understand when you're quitting it in that way. My point is saying is that if you're talking about the amounts of the the in the shows that we watch in the again just in I was talking about particularly Hollywood. I'm talking about one particularly Hollywood because Hollywood is majority of how the in terms of the entertainment is what we all consume in some capacity, and based on what is represented entertainment is the in the shows that we watch. In, in from what I've seen, what I see, and what has been just in even the recent years, um, is the constant. And again, I don't think I do not believe the level of vitriol Christianity gets is not the same as the other religions. It's not the same. It's not. Yes, is there Islamophobia? Yeah, like or people that are afraid again. What the people that are afraid of Islam, that's a separate conversation of what that even term even means. But the in terms of in the academic sense, in our TV shows, the depictions of it, you don't see the depictions of Islam and the caricatures. You don't see you don't
Well, I
see
don't know about that.
no, you don't see it the same. You don't see you see you it is been in recent
I don't know
times.
about that though. Like in spy movies, like I could count like at least 10 different spy movies like off the top of my head where like at some point an antagonist was like
Oh
no
yeah.
name terrorist from like unnamed like Middle Eastern country or something.
Hmm.
Like
Yes, yes, again, and that's the question of the
and like I
caricature,
can
right?
count pretty much like the exact same where like the exact same not the same instances, but the same number of instances where like a movie has tackled a storyline about like I don't know, like a Catholic priest who like touches kids or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they've done. Oh,
To me,
I've
it pretty
seen.
much averages out.
Well, I don't know about that. If again, if you haven't been watching the just the you could say um public um the public sentiment. If you've been watching paying attention to the gradual change in public discourse when it comes to just could say anything remotely Christian, there it is not the same. It is not the same, and I'm not to say that there are not other other religions don't get their flack, because they do, but it's not remotely. If you're saying that, okay, that Christianity gets like a 9, if you get a 9, and then they are the other religions, if you're talking about in the academic sense, in entertainment, in just in day-to-day conversations, the one religion that everybody loves to attack, everybody, you cannot, people love to attack, is Christianity, is Christ. It's like, okay, so key example. So the Da Vinci Code, the Da Vinci Code. Again, a good movie. I watched it recently. I thought it was an entertaining movie. I thought it was entertaining, but the the suggestion that Jesus basically had one, not only had a wife. It was just the historical claims that they were making were completely unfounded, not only in scripture but historically speaking. If you're any familiar with the historical evidence for Christianity, you could see the manipulations of certain facts to actually create their own little conspiracy, and just the disparaging of the person of Christ was just absolutely you're not going to see you don't see like the Islamic version of the Da Vinci Code that um Muhammad. Well, yeah, you wouldn't see that. You're not going to see that for Buddha. You're not going to see that for Krishna. You're not going to see that. You don't, at least in the
Well, I
public
mean, like
sentiment.
for that, like I'll give you that. But like then again, it also I feel like it also depends on like the people who are like making the movies and like the reasons for why they're making them. Which like for me, assuming that like what you're saying is like assuming that like what you're saying is true, then
Okay.
like really
You mean the
the
Da Vinci Code or like what?
no, I mean like about like the quote unquote like public perception of like Christianity or like Christians being like under more scrutiny or like being unfairly criticized more than like other
Okay. Okay,
other
fine. That's
groups.
fine. Okay, fine.
Assuming that that's true.
Okay.
Let's say
Yeah.
that it is.
Hmm.
Like then
Okay.
Hollywood for like portraying Christianity in the way that it does has like I feel like it has like three reasons that like it's
Hmm.
separated in like there are like three possibilities for like why Hollywood is like choosing to like portray Christian storylines like this. Either one, they're writing from experience, either one, they're writing from like personal experience or like negative experience that they've had with the church, or that they know that others have had with the church, or that like people close to
Mm-hmm.
them have had with the church, and that they're using their like writing platform to sort of exercise their own demons, for lack of a better term,
Mm-hmm.
and like voice their grievances with like Christianity and with like the church as a whole. Two, it's this vast conspiracy, which seems to be like a very popular opinion among like certain people, that it's this vast conspiracy that stretches across all of Hollywood, that like everybody's in on it, from like the lowest from like the lowest extra to the highest business executive, to like the Bob Iger figures at the head of Disney, that it's all a vast conspiracy just to discredit classical Christianity in the eyes of the general populace. Or three, it's what they think will make the money. Which, to be honest, I think is the most likely one. That it's what
I
they
don't think
think that
any of
people
them
want
are
to see.
mutually exclusive, though. I don't think you can. I don't. I think that not any of them are most are mutually exclusive, though. I think that and just say that I don't even want to put it even conspiracy, because when you look at the ideological framework at many of these um, common celebrities even hold, it's quite apparent, and there is a correlation. It's not necessarily hyperbole. It's not an exaggeration to suggest and to say that at this point, if you've been paying attention to the culture, if you've been paying attention to the change and the rapid erosion of you could say the moral framework within like um, mainstream culture, it is not hyperbole or an exaggeration to point out that um, that within Hollywood there is a again, obviously not every single um person, because again, yeah, there are Christians. When you talk about like Chris Pratt, is like Chris Pratt. There's John Vought. He's is it Vought? He's a Christian as well. There are plenty others that are completely comfortable, that are well in within the public sphere, but are that are Christians, uh, but that is not the case for many others, and for the in terms of like the public, not just public perception, the a just yeah, just Hollywood in general. Again, and you could be right. You could be right, and I don't think that there is a valid argument to say that okay, yeah, like the many writers do um uh create would maybe draw on some of their bad experiences with Christians, which is valid and very true. Yeah, okay, yeah, that no problem, for sure. However, I don't. It's one thing to say that these people are some of them, and I don't think it's just that you can say, oh, it's just okay, I'm drawing on this, but also because they have a prejudice against certain people's belief systems. I do think so. So my closing thoughts on this, I guess, is that I think that it was quite interesting to see again um the attack of on Chris Pratt, even, but it was great to see that um his colleagues did come back and support him,
Yeah,
that
yeah, they were
they
real
know,
ones for that.
and yeah, for supporting him on all of that, and even through that, that they know who he is and whatnot. Yeah, that was great to see, and I don't, though I don't think that it's quite going away, and because more actually, I think that this outrage will go away, yeah, for sure, because the Twitter mob always finds something else to get mad about. I more think that it's more of a matter of a time until it comes up again in the future, that Christian Pratt's a Christian. Probably that's what is when I mean it. I don't think it's going away. I think that it's just a matter of time that we're just watching the time for when it'll come up again. And they'll find the fact that he's a Christian. Okay, that's what I meant about that, because it's not the first time that they've the Twitter mob has gotten mad at Chris Pratt for just being a Christian. So that's what I meant by that. Yeah.
You see, this is why I would like I am so not built for Twitter, because like for me, like when it comes to what I like about like celebrity like Twitter posts, or like celebrity like social media posts in general, for me, like when I follow like Robert Downey Jr., when I follow like Mark Ruffalo, like I'm looking for like, like funny behind the scenes stories from like Avengers Endgame, or like I'm looking to see like what like how many Iron Man suits Robert Downey Jr. has in his room. Like I'm not like I'm so disinterested in, like, I don't care what Emma Stone had for breakfast. I don't care how like I don't care where Don Cheadle spends his nights. I don't care if like Finn Wolfhard is like I don't care if Finn Wolfhard voted for Obama or whatever. I just never cared about that aspect of celebrity culture. I'm more of a person who believes that like the content of your character will shine through no matter who you are, no matter what you do, and people who matter, at least, will know the real you, and will know what you're like on the inside. And like keeping in with our Halloween theme, like you can't hide what is inside. It's like so like yeah, like this is why like I'm not concerned about like Chris Pratt's legacy or Chris Pratt's like career in the future, because
Oh no,
like
yeah.
you can like any dog can look through someone's Twitter account and see who they follow and have a problem. Any fool can do that. But it's the people who know you, and it's the people who like are willing to stand by you even when things get tough. First of all, those are the people that matter. And second of all, those are the people who what they're saying, I feel like most people are going to listen to. At least my opinion. There's always going to be like that small sect of people. And like I can't really say that for like every single situation, because that's definitely not the case all the time. But at least in this case, it's like
yeah. I mean,
I've
like,
already
yeah,
checked out on this issue like days ago. So
yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
that Chris Pratt is in any danger of being
Mhm.
canceled. I don't think that MCU is in any danger, and I definitely don't think that this is going to affect Disney's bottom line in any way, shape, or form. But
Oh
if
no,
anything, it's
definitely
at
not.
least a good fruit for conversation. It's interesting. It offers up a lot of interesting, very interesting talking points. So that's about all the time we have for the Secret Crisis podcast. We, on behalf of the podcast, would like to thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for staying with us through this long discussion that has been very, 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 very productive. And if you're new here to the Secret Crisis podcast, we do this every I don't know if we can actually like say whether or not we have a schedule yet, but if you
No,
like
not
what you
yet.
see here, be sure to subscribe, be sure to follow, be sure to like, be sure to leave us a review, be sure to do all the good stuff that all listening platforms
Hmm.
offer up. We are available on Jaden. Where are we available?
The you mean on where you can access the podcast, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is as of now, recording. You can find us at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker Audio, podcast, Pocket Casts is the name. Radio Public. The Also, just I don't know. I don't really use Breaker, Radio Public, or Pocket Cast, but that is where we are available, and that is of now. Where you can find us. These for social. You can follow the Instagram page at Secret Crisis, a secret underscore crisis, and yes, and you can find Christian. Where can they find you on Instagram?
You can find me on Instagram at I am Superfly, where I am known for my fan art. I do digital fan art. I do promos for my upcoming or ongoing graphic novella epic superhero story called Superfly, The Guardian, which recently got picked up for series. If you are a student at OCAD University here in Toronto, Ontario, it has been picked up for an audio book series on OCAD Live. So if you want to learn more about that and learn more about all the other projects I'm working on right now, you can go ahead and follow me at I am Superfly, all one word. That's Superfly spelled with an A, not an ER. That's IAMSUPAFLY. I am Superfly. Jaden, where can they find
And
you?
you can find me at Jaden.C.Jones. Yes, and C is the letter C, not C as in the ocean C.
The motion of the ocean. So we would like to thank you for listening to the Secret Crisis podcast. And until next time, peace out.
See you guys.